What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a Wednesday NBA edition of my DFS podcast. I'm featuring a free Guru credit code, as I tweeted earlier, so give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe. I'll give you guys that code for some Guru credits after the first couple of my plays. I usually do Guru credit giveaways on Fridays. Decided to do one today. I'm probably going to do another one on Friday. Just in a good mood. We've been absolutely smashing it. We swept the main slate last night pretty easily. JPP crushed. If Brandon Ingram did anything, this team could have, I don't know if it could have taken down a tournament, but it would have been up there. If Ingram doubled his points to 48, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities. This lineup was an absolute smash. Had Butler in every lineup, had Green in every lineup, had Baldwin in every lineup. Baldwin had 0 at halftime. He played the first 3 minutes of the game, got 2 fouls, and never came back in. Ended up getting 28 fantasy points in the second. Just wild stuff. The Wizards were a crazy team last night. We have a similar team on tonight's slate in the Toronto Raptors with no Emmanuel Quickley and then all the other guys. So it looks like we have another Wizards-type team in the Raptors tonight. But these were the three teams. This was the hybrid. Trey Jones at low ownership against the Mavericks absolutely smashed for 38. Franz Wagner was tough at 17. The Magic just absolutely blew the doors off of the Charlotte Hornets. And then the cash team, even with Dylan Brooks getting his shitty 1.2, we still cashed. So overall, a great night. The after hours ended up just missing, of course. Luka Garza ended up making a difference. I ended up not playing him because he wasn't in the starting lineup. Ended up playing a decent amount because Kyle Anderson got into foul trouble. It is what it is. We have another 3-game after hours slate tonight, all at 10 o'clock Eastern. My dub club will be featuring the after hours slate again, so definitely sign up there. Link below this video for $1 for the first week. One other announcement, I have MLB early bird discounts running through the weekend. A lot of you guys have already taken advantage. Just message me as we have the season starting up a week from tomorrow. Now, we have those 2 Korea games, which just feel fake to me. I don't even count that as the season starting. But we get our first real slate Thursday during the day. Ton of games. Excited for that. So let's get into my video plays. Again, I'll give you guys that Guru credit code after the first couple of my plays. We also have one last thing is we have the Valspar PGA starting up tomorrow. So I will be putting golf content on my website, fd-guru.com. Later on today. So we got a lot of things going on. We got March Madness. That doesn't really affect me because you can't make DFS lineups for March Madness. But, everyone will get excited that they can blindly pick a bracket and think they know what they're doing. But let's get into tonight's slate. We got Damian Lillard as a great point guard option. I woke up this morning to the news before I even took my first sip of coffee that Giannis Antetokounmpo was ruled out. That kind of was eye-opening that we got that news so early. Love it. I love when we get early news. Not a good matchup for the Bucks in Boston. We have a 10-point spread now, but I do think Damian Lillard can keep them in it. He's projected for 45 fantasy points. I think his ceiling is really high. I think he's a really strong spend-up. He's been playing well. They were without Giannis last game in another pretty tough matchup against the Suns. He played 38 minutes, 31, 5, and 16 for 60 fantasy points. Middleton is back, but he's going to be on a minutes limit. He played 25 minutes in his first game back. We have Bobby Portis, who's going to see an uptick in usage, but he's 7,100 now, making him pretty tough to get to. But Damian Lillard looks like a good play at 9K. If FanDuel was making these prices and knowing that Giannis was going to be out tonight, I bet you Lillard would have been right around 10,000. Right around his price where he was on the Trailblazers. He was around a $10,000 player. 9,000 seems a little too cheap with Giannis off the court. I know it's a tougher matchup in Boston, but they're going to need Lillard to chuck. And if he starts hitting them, It's not going to matter who he's playing. He will be a guy that you need to have on tonight's slate. Before I forget, let's touch upon the injury guys because we have a decent amount on this 8-game slate. They decided to add the late games on this main slate, the 3 10 o'clock games. DraftKings did the same. First game, Miami. We got Jimmy Butler, Jovic, Bam Adebayo, all questionable. That's the first game, so we'll know that news before lock. That could end up mattering. Fontecchio's questionable for the Pistons. The Celtics, they've been all over the injury report. They haven't played a game with their full starting lineup in a long time. They don't really need to. They're not going to be very pressed to play people towards the end of the year because they've already clinched the East. So it doesn't really matter. We're going to see them stagger their starters probably the rest of the year. And the fact that they're playing a Bucks team without Giannis, they'll probably sit out some guys. Drew Holiday's questionable again. Jaylen Brown's questionable. Sam Hauser is questionable. So something to keep an eye out on. Already mentioned earlier, the Raptors. They've been very banged up, but now that Quickly's out, they're going to be a huge value team tonight. Scotty Barnes out, RJ Barrett out, Chris Boucher, Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickly. Their entire starting 5 is out. Actually, their entire 4 out of the 5 guys, because Gary Trent usually starts, I think, kind of. But you got Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Emmanuel Quickly all out. 4 of their 5 starters, so that's an absolute mess. John Collins for the Jazz is questionable after getting his soul sucked away by Anthony Edwards. John Collins may never want to step back onto an NBA court again, but he's questionable tonight. Santi Aldama for the Grizzlies, kind of a breath of fresh air. He's the only Grizzly questionable tonight. We've seen multiple slates where the Grizzlies have 5 to 7 guys questionable, so just Aldama being the questionable guy tonight is, very nice. Draymond Green questionable, Moses Moody questionable on the other side of that game. Tobias Harris is questionable, but we just got news that he went through shoot-around. That hasn't seemed to really matter as of late, whether a guy goes through shoot-around or not. And then for that the other game, the Clippers and Blazers, we have Norman Powell questionable for the Clippers, but nothing really outside of that. Jeremy Grant is already ruled doubtful for the Blazers. So a decent amount of questionable guys. I'm glad to see that most of them are in the earlier games, and there's not much on the injury reports for the 10 o'clock games. Always makes my life a lot easier to project things. But Damian Lillard, point guard play. Shooting guard, we're going to get into our Raptors value. It's going to be really hard to get away from the Raptors here. Grady Dick, his price has gone down because he hasn't been playing well. But he's going to be starting tonight. He's going to see a lot more usage. 4,400, no Emmanuel Quickly. Grady Dick has shown when he gets the usage, he can get there. 36 minutes against the Nuggets. I think they were without Quickly in that game. 37 fantasy points. He's projected for like 25 tonight. Just all of these Raptors starters are just going to be projected so well tonight because Emmanuel Quickly is such a high usage guy. It's a good enough matchup against the Kings, and they're at home, so it kind of limits the blowout risk. Now, they're still 11-point underdogs. Don't get me wrong. There's blowout risk, but if this game was flip-flopped and the Raptors were on the road against Sacramento, this would probably be a 15-point spread, and it would be a lot dicier. 11, I feel a little bit more comfortable with. And a lot of these Raptors, they're younger guys, and they're kind of blowout-proof anyways. Like, I think whether they're down 30 or not, I think Grady Dick's going to play minutes. They're very short-handed. He just looks like an easy play, multi-positional eligibility on FanDuel, shooting guard and small forward. Just one of the easier sub-K5 guys to get to, along with a couple other Raptors I will be talking about in this video. For my Guru credit code, go to my website, fd-guru.com. Go to the shop page. This is where you get all of your usual Guru credits. I have a barcode right here. This is where you get, you use these credits on all of my content for main slates. I've been posting non-main slates on my Dub Club as of late, but, with MLB around the corner, you can get memberships off of this MLB tab. along with NBA. I post around 30 minutes before lock for NBA. MLB, when it comes around, usually like an hour before game time because we get the lineup so much earlier. So, when we have MLB and NBA both going on, I usually pump out MLB first and then do the NBA because NBA is a little bit more, prone to injury news. So, for the code today, all capital letters, in the spirit of college hoops, March Madness. Apply coupon, you'll get 10 free credits. We got March Madness starting up tomorrow. I'm not a huge college guy, but it is fun to follow. I do a couple of leagues with my friends, but I speak for everyone when I say I don't really know what I'm doing. It's kind of just, you want to pick all the lower seeds and then randomly pick an upset and see what happens. But it is fun to follow. Very, very impossible to predict. I'm not even going to sit here and act like I know what I'm doing. But for those 10 credits, March Madness, all caps, give this video a like, and definitely subscribe and put my alerts on so you don't miss any future videos. Small forward, another very easy play. Most likely going to be in all of my lineups. Like I said, the Raptors are a very similar team as the Wizards were last night. Definitely going to want 3, maybe even 4 Raptors in your cash game lineups. In most of your lineups, Bruce Brown will be starting and seeing a ton of usage. The projected lineup right now is Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, Grady Dick, Agbaji, and Kelly Olynyk. While we'll see like a 6-man in Jordan Nora see plenty of minutes. They're just so short on bodies. There's not many more guys they can go to. Jalen McDaniels maybe a little bit. Who else do we even have? Like, I don't even know. We have Guy. I don't even know who that is. Like, he doesn't play. For center, we got Jonte Porter. Might get some love playing low 20s minutes with the extra usage. He hasn't been bad. But in terms of guys in the backcourt, I mean, Bruce Brown, Grady Dick, Agbaji, Gary Trent, Nora, these like 4 guys are going to have to play a ton of minutes tonight. Bruce Brown's going to see a ton of usage. He's probably going to play 37 minutes like we saw in that game against Denver. Again, I was talking about quickly when he played Denver, or I was talking about Grady Dick when he played Denver. He played really well. I think, that was the game without Quickly. These are the things we're going to want to compare to tonight because we haven't seen Quickly be out other than that Denver game. And what happened in that Denver game? We saw Grady Dick play 36 minutes and get 37 fantasy points. We saw Bruce Brown play 37 minutes. When you're comparing these Raptors guys for tonight, you want to look at the stat sheet of that Denver game because that's the only game this season where they've been without all of the guys that they are without tonight. And then for power forward, another easy Raptor. I mean, Kelly Olynyk's just going to see extreme usage. His price has dipped back below $7K because he hasn't been playing as well as of late. But again, with no Quickly, we're going to want to play Kelly Olynyk. The game without Quickly on the 11th of March against the Nuggets, 28 minutes, 32 fantasy points, not bad. He needs 33 to hit value tonight, 34 actually. He's going to be projected for, 35-ish fantasy points tonight, so he's going to be good. They're going to need him to play well. Cover Domantas Sabonis. Hopefully he stays out of foul trouble. And we know Olynyk's ceiling, he can get up towards 50 fantasy points, so he's worth the spend up. He's actually, in my opinion, he's pretty comparable to Bobby Portis tonight. He's $200 cheaper, but Portis is going to see a similar, big usage uptick with no Giannis Antetokounmpo. He played 29 minutes last game without Giannis and got 54 fantasy points. I think he's a little bit more risky. If we're going to split hairs between cash games and GBP, I would say Olynyk is more of a cash game guy because he has a higher floor, a little bit more consistent. Bobby Portis has a higher ceiling, as we saw last game, but he brings a little bit more risk to the table. So both guys you could look at for sure. They're pretty close in salary, so I don't mind either one of them. And then for center, getting a little expensive, only leaving you, $5,900 between the other guys, but things could easily open up later, and we can get more Raptors value in our lineups. Domantas Sabonis at under 11K, he's been so good. He needs 54 fantasy points to hit value. He gets 50 just about every single game. If you look at his game log, He has gotten 50 plus fantasy points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 out of his last 9 games. 3 of those games are 60 plus. 4 of those games are 60 plus fantasy point games. So he should be able to dominate the Raptors. And if you're picking a lot of Raptors for value tonight, you're obviously rooting for this game to be high scoring and competitive. It's probably a smart idea to also pick Sabonis on the other side, because if we see somewhat of a close game, this game is just going to have a good chance of being the absolute nuts, and you needing, a ton of guys in this game. It's got a 233 over-under. Not worried about how many points are going to be scored, more worried about the blowout. But if it does stay competitive, somewhat competitive, Sabonis is probably going to smash along with all these cheap Raptor values. That'll do it for this video, guys. Let's have a huge Wednesday heading into, a busy end of the week here. And then we got MLB rolling in next week. Let's crush it. I'm excited for tonight. Let's get on the after-hour slate as well over on my Dub Club and Smash. Until next time, I am the FD Guru, and I'm signing off. Peace.